Alex, I'm just waiting for your cue.
You can start now.
Thank you. Again, welcome to the March 1st, 2022 meeting of the Manhattan Community Board 6's Environment and Parks Committee. My name is Kevin O'Keefe, and I am the chair of this committee. This meeting is called to order at 7:03 p.m. New York time. Tonight, we are joined by Community Associate Alex Crawford and District Manager Jesus Perez. Members of the public, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through Zoom's Q&A feature. Following the committee's discussion, we will field any questions from the public. The minutes for tonight's meeting will be taken by Claire Brennan. We extend our gratitude to Claire. You should have received an email from the board office with a link to a Doodle sign-up sheet for minute takers for committee meetings in 2022. For your convenience, that link to the sign-up sheet is now being posted in the chat. We will now take attendance by roll call. Alexander will conduct that call.
Committee members, I will call your name and you will unmute yourselves. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Marty Barrett. Marty Barrett. Matt Bondi. Claire Brennan.
I'm here.
Jeannie D'Onofrio.
Present.
Paige Judge.
Present.
Anton Malner. Raj Nayar. Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Reshma Patel.
Present.
Dean Stephanidis.
Present.
Mark Thompson.
Present.
Maura Wong. She said she's going to be excused today. Letty Simon.
Present.
And last call, is Marty Barrett here?
I saw him. He may be muted, but he
Yeah,
did
he
come
may
in.
be muted. Oh, Marty, you're there.
Give us a signal.
Oh.
We'll wait.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Got me.
And
Okay, thank you.
Matt Bondi. Okay, we have quorum.
Matt might be joining us later. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and appears on the screen coming up. There we go. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting this agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Do not see any objections, so the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the February 1st committee meeting were distributed ahead of time. Big thank you to our Vice Chair, Jeannie D'Onofrio, for producing those minutes. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes as drafted. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting these minutes, please raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the February 1st meeting are adopted and will soon be available on the CB6 website. Now, in order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's roll through a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, committee members, if you have a question about a committee business matter or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. 3, the chat function should never be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. Any such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us of any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information such as an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Number 4, when a committee member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourselves so that you can begin speaking. Lastly, number 5, we are required by New York State law to have a transcript of this meeting. So please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. I will try to do the same. Agenda item number 1 is discussion of the status of Community District 6 Parks Capital projects. The committee is pleased that New York City Parks Manhattan Chief of Staff, and I must say Capital Projects Oracle, Steve Simon, is with us tonight. Now, many community members have requested updates on capital projects in our district that have either broken ground or were slated to have broken ground. Before we give Steve the floor, I will briefly share an update on a presentation given last night to the Community Board's monthly Land Use and Waterfront Committee meeting. And this is something that overlaps with this committee. The presentation was about East Side Coastal Resiliency Construction and was given by that project's Desiree Gazzo. Desiree reported that Astor Levy Playground on just off of East 20th Street has more than 650 feet of flood wall completed, that the gate installation was completed last week, and that, drum roll, the handball court will reopen this week. Alex, I believe you have a rendering of the Astor Levy Playground design to show on the screen. When this comes up, you can see the handball court location as the light colored hardtop on the right. There you go. The next image that will come up is one Desiree shared of Murphy Brothers Park, including a look at planned artificial turf and location of a comfort station. Alex, you can put that up now, if you will. And again, just sharing this not to steal any of Steve's thunder, but this was discussed last night. There were some committee members here that were there, and I want to make sure that you all got to see the parks matters that were discussed. Okay, and then one more image I'm going to show, and that is of the planned dog run at Murphy Brothers. You can see that image. There we go. Now, in addition to these, the community has asked this committee about work slated for Bellevue South Park reconstruction. I believe that funding was done by the City Council, Borough President, and Mayor, and also the St. Barton Park Playground reconstruction and Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza reconstruction. Now, we also took a look at the Parks Capital Project Tracker, and the other ones listed as in the works are Constant Baker Motley Recreation Center Sidewalk Vault reconstruction. Next, Peter Detmold Park Water Service reconstruction. Then Mary O'Connor and Tudor Grove Playground reconstruction. Then Albano Playground reconstruction. And last but not least, East River Esplanade reconstruction between 36th and 38th Street. Again, Steve, thank you so much for anything that you can provide us with and update us for the aforementioned parks work. You now have the floor. Oh, you're on mute. Steve, I believe you're on mute.
How about now?
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay, so let me first dispel any questions that may arise. I am not related to Letty Simon. I would have no objections to being related to her, but as it happens, I'm not related to her.
That is correct.
Okay, no, okay. I don't want to get into an argument with you, but there's no conflict of interest. We're not related. I appreciate the fact that you showed those renderings on the East Side Coastal Resiliency projects, since those are being handled by the Department of Design and Construction, and I'm not fully conversant with them, but what we should know is that the Astor Levy Playground overall will be completed by the spring. So the entire playground should be available to the community in just a few months. And at Murphy Brothers, I think what DDC is anticipating starting construction in the fall. I believe they would have said that last night.
They did not, Steve, they did not have a timeline, but thank you for that update.
Okay, my understanding is that they're planning to start in the fall. I hope I'm not contradicting anything that they would want to report on. With Bellevue South, we have set a construction start date of May the 2nd. So that, all things being equal, that's when construction should start. The contractor has a little bit of a grace period If he doesn't show up on the 2nd, he has a few more days beyond that. But we have every reason to believe that's when construction will start. That's a date that he's agreed upon. With Peter Detmold, let me just say with Bellevue South, I believe we had a discussion when we presented the project to the committee that our intent was to keep open the central walkway that cuts through the park, and that some people may use as a shortcut to get between First and Second Avenues. Upon further examination, it doesn't appear as though that's going to be feasible. Because construction is going to be taking place on both sides of that walkway, and it really doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to try to keep it open and divide the construction area. So,
Steve, if I could just jump in, are we talking about the northernmost side of the park that cuts through, or the center part?
No, there's a walkway that cuts right through the middle.
Okay,
What would be the equivalent, I guess, of 27th Street. It leads directly in from the walkway at off of First Avenue. There's a corridor that leads directly into the park at what used to be, I believe, 27th Street, and then there's a walkway and some steps that lead up towards the Phipps houses. So that walkway, which divides a sitting area from what's currently an area that has play equipment, and what's going to become the future dog run. That I had said back then that I had hoped that we could keep it open. Somebody at the committee meeting had said they would like it to be kept open, but I don't think that's going to be possible.
Okay, thank you for that update.
Okay, so with Peter Detmold, we've completed the design work. We've now entered the procurement phase. We expect to award the contract and to register the contract by September, early September. So there's a good chance, all things being equal, if we get a good bid, that this project will be in construction by the end of the year. With Dag Hammarskjöld, we put this project out for bid. I don't remember now whether it's 2 or 3 times, and the bids have been coming in above the budget. So we're now in a process of trying to figure out what we can cut out of the scope of work, what I can get other people to do, perhaps our regular tradespeople to do. So it won't be, we can take it out of the capital project. So the painting work, we're now going to remove from the scope of work. That's going to be done by the Parks Department itself. And I'm now looking at what other aspects we can take out in order to try to bring down the cost of the project. So I don't have a timeline right now, but I'm speaking to the Friends group. We're going to schedule an on-site meeting and talk about the scope of work, and I'm going to see whether we can do take on some of the other items for ourselves. At Tudor Grove and Mary O'Connor Playgrounds, we accepted bids, and we are evaluating the low bidder. There are questions about the qualifications of that low bidder, and we haven't reached a final decision yet. But to be honest with you, we may have to end up rebidding this project in order to get a better bid. But I'll have to get back to you because a decision has not been reached quite yet. On the St. Varden Park Playground project, we're nearing the completion of the design work. Should be done by the end of this month, and then we enter the procurement phase. So there's an outside chance that we could start construction by the end of the year, but realistically, it probably will be the beginning of next year.
And with that, this is a question I've had repeatedly from community members. Will that be done in stages, or will the park be closed for any playground use during that span of construction?
Well, the entire playground will be closed.
Okay. Thank you for that update. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, Asa Levy, we're reconstructing the HVAC system and repairing damage from Superstorm Sandy. We're completing, we expect to complete the design work by the end of June, and then that will enter the procurement phase. So construction on that project is probably spring of 2023.
Okay, is that, because I know we put in a budget request, it's been in our budget request for at least a couple of years. Does that include not just the HVAC, but I believe it was for ceiling tiles and it was for air conditioning throughout the building, remodeling of the locker rooms and restrooms, addition of new toilets, hand dryers, showers, sinks, that whole budget item is being approached with this project?
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Okay. Just the HVAC.
I'll get back to you, but but you know something, the air conditioning for the building, I don't see it on my list, but it's, my memory is that that was funded. So
it has been funded, and that's why, and there was also, I think, the indoor pool dehumidifier was also funded. That's what we're curious about.
Yeah, you know something.
You were talking just about the HVAC.
Yes, but the HVAC includes air conditioning.
It does, but throughout the, as you're saying, so the HVAC you're talking about is throughout the entire building.
Well, I believe it should be, but let me get back to you.
Okay, thank you. If we
But
could,
that, I mean, we're talking here about a $10 million project. So it's I have to assume it includes the air conditioning throughout the building.
okay, and the other only thing I have on that list of which I believe was budgeted was the flood proofing of the center's windows.
There's definitely flood proofing as part of this project.
Okay, great.
All right, so Albano Playground, the saga of Albano Playground. So this project, as you probably know, was held up for a number of years. It turns out that the property is actually owned by the MTA, and the MTA was, let's say, hesitant about letting us proceed with this project, but they, with Councilmember Rivera's intervention, they finally agreed that we could continue we could do the project. But in the meantime, we had to update all of the construction documents so that we could prepare to put the project out for bid. We're now completing that work. We expect to have it done in April. And so that project will then go into the procurement phase, and probably we would begin construction in early next year.
Great. And just so background for those they're coming up to speed on this, it was an MTA quasi project because there was a time when that land was earmarked to have a freeway go through Midtown Manhattan. I think a lot of us are happy that that freeway did not happen, but also that was funded not by Carlina Rivera, but actually by her predecessor. That's how long this has been kicking around. And I know it's been a real hurdle to get through because it's, like you said, it's not just Parks land. So thank you.
However, I did have to go back to, I did have to ask Carlina because of the time factor and the fact that we had lost so much time and costs had gone up. I did have to ask Carlina to give us another $375,000. So although you're correct that the bulk of the money came from Rosie Mendez, Carlina now has a foothold on this project too.
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. And then I think, well, we talked about Constant Baker Motley Rec Center vault reconstruction.
Yeah, there are three different projects in the pipeline for that building. One of which includes the sidewalk work and also the replacement of rooftop air conditioning units. And that project is, I guess that project is in design, and I don't have a firm timetable on that one.
And has the bulkhead analysis, I know for East River Esplanade between 36th and 38th, I think that was all that was missing, right? That you needed to do some analysis first before moving ahead on that?
Yeah, well, let me finish with Constance Baker Motley.
Oh, sorry, I
So,
thought you were done.
So we have the rooftop air conditioning units. We have a project to install a building automation systems to control the HVAC system, and that project is now in procurement. And the big project we have there, we have $18 million to do facade stabilization, the pool ceiling, the men's locker room, and we're starting the design on that major project this spring.
Okay, great. I know some members of the community are relying on the capital tracker. The Parks Department is very thorough on. We did not see those on there. Is that something that just by practice will be added so that we can keep track of? Because this is the first, at least that I'm hearing about that additional work at the rec center.
Well, I'll have to go back. I'll have to talk to them tomorrow and then get it added. I don't know why it's not on the tracker.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's a.
And if it is, I apologize, but I was told that that was the only thing on there. So I apologize if that was mistaken in that email I received.
And on the East River Esplanade project between 36th and 38th Streets, it's the design. It's still in the design phase, which is due to be completed in October, and that's almost a $16 million project.
Thank you. Steve, and I appreciate the time. I know that I think you have a hard stop at 7:30, so I did, unless you had.
I have a little more time beyond that.
Oh, terrific. Is there anything you want to add? Because I believe we have, and Alex, if you can keep me honest here, if there are any Q&As, I could probably open it up here, but if you see any Q&As from the public, I do want to open it up first. Steve, is that anything else to add before we open up the floor with any potential questions?
No, go ahead. No, I think I've covered my list.
Thorough as always. Thank you very much. Any committee members have questions on that? I do see Letty Simon, no relation. Letty, you have the floor. Letty, I believe you're muted.
I'll start again. Steve, no relation. What is the shortfall at Dag Hammarskjöld?
Well, I'm going to be meeting with some of your board members and with Cheryl shortly. So I'll have a better handle on it after we go through the list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Letty. Reshma has her hand raised. You have the floor.
Sure, I had two questions. One is on the East River Esplanade work. Last summer, there's the New Wave Pier opened up there. So is that a temporary? This is additional work that's going to happen there?
Well, the New Wave Pier is directly north of this particular project.
Okay.
This is. I hesitate to use this term before this committee, and I think Marty Barrett will object to it. But this is what we used to call Glick Park. It's between 36th and 38th Streets. The New Wave Pier goes up from 38th to 41st. So this particular project is not does not overlap on the New Wave Pier.
Well, thank you. Yeah, because we had some additional stuff that we had talked about as a committee once the New Wave Pier was open. So I just wanted to know if that, in terms of additional requests that we might make, and then for
before you go off that, I'm not. We are looking at adding a dog run to the New Wave Pier. I don't know if I don't know if we've made that known to you, but you may see some work happening there in the near future.
Yes, thank you for teeing that up. I was going to mention that actually in the chair's report. That's wonderful. And I know Sheena and Steve and others of the Parks Department are very instrumental in getting that off the ground with Alliance for Kips Bay and others. Mark Vaccaro, big shout out, and others. So yes, that's a huge development for the area.
That's not a capital project. That's something we're going to cover through our expense funds.
That's wonderful.
But I cut off Reshma. Reshma had something else.
Oh, yeah. For the rec center, I was going to ask, you said the work was going to begin in the spring. Do you have a better idea of dates of when that's going to happen?
No. What's going to happen with, you're talking now about the, excuse me, you're talking now about Constance Baker Motley, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what's going to happen in the spring is we're going to start the design work. So the actual construction is still, somewhere down the road.
Okay, yeah, because I hadn't seen it in the tracker, as Kevin mentioned, so I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to fix that.
Okay.
Anything else, Reshma?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any more hands raised. There I see 3 questions in Q&A from the community. The first one, we'll do them in order. Phyllis Mangles. This is a question about Stuyvesant Square. What is the status of the renovations of the Park House? Is plural.
Well, the status is that we're seeking funding to renovate both of them, and we're right now. I'm in discussions with our capital staff to come up with estimates that we can present to members of the city council, to the city council member, and to others to try to come up with the money that we need.
Thank you. Next is from Kellyanne Allen. How long will the St. Barton Park Playground construction take, and why isn't it being staged approached in stages?
Well, I don't think it. I don't think it was. I'll have to go back to the architect. I'm pretty sure he looked at that because we discussed it in one of our earlier meetings here. But I guess it proved not to be feasible. But I'll try to get you a better answer. And
Okay.
But the standard time frame for a playground renovation is 1 year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and thank you to Kellyanne for asking that. I believe, Alexander, do you see that last one? It's the bottom is cut off. It's from Anne.
Yeah, I can read it
Thank you.
if you want. What is being done about the filth on the sidewalk, including dog excrement and urine in the middle of the sidewalks as dog owners continuously disregard curbing their pets? Will doggy parks be included in the parks plans?
Well, the only dog run I know of that we're talking about constructing is the one at Murphy Brothers. I'm sorry. We're also obviously constructing one at Bellevue South.
Mhm.
So there are 2 in the works, and the water service project we're doing at Peter Detmold to a great extent benefits the dog run at that location. So I think there are 3 projects in the works here that involve dog runs.
In the New Wave Pier as well.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and of course the New Wave Pier. So there are 4 dog runs we're working on within your district.
Is there a timeline on the dog run? I know it's very embryonic in its stage right now, but do you have any?
But which
The
one?
dog
Now?
run, sorry, at New Wave.
I don't think. I think we're moving on it. I'm hoping it'll be done within the next 2 or 3 months. But let me get back to you on that.
Okay. I believe, Alex, are there any more questions? I don't necessarily see any, but I want to make sure the public has been heard.
There is one more question.
Thanks. Go ahead.
It's from Jeff Malone. Jeff asks, on a related note, there is a growing problem of people bringing their dogs into the St. Barton's green lawn to exercise and worse, specifically to relieve themselves. What can be done?
God, that is just awful. That is just awful. I'm gonna have to direct our Parks Enforcement Patrol to spend more time there. We obviously we installed that lawn to increase the possibilities of people having active recreation. And lastly, we need is for dog urine and excrement to be on that field.
It's also a challenge. We've received a couple of reports that it's happening at Robert Moses Field, and the ironic thing is there's a dog run, of course, right there, but they're still coming on to the artificial turf at Robert Moses.
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable how some people have chosen to just abuse these fields.
Well, our PEP unit is really on it. They're working, you know, as much as they can at the sites to try to control it. But unfortunately, it's just not enough, you know, park enforcement to be stationed at each of these locations to, you know, to better get a grip on it. But it is at Robert Moses, it is at St. Barton's. And our PEP unit is working on it. They're issuing out tickets, and they're also speaking to the individuals, you know, to let them know that this is not the place for it, and directing them to dog runs with, you know, in the closer areas. So that hopefully the new wave dog run will relieve some of the pressure of some of these, you know, areas like St. Barton's and Robert Moses. Hopefully that'll help out, you know, once we started, it's gonna, maybe in the next couple of months, the new wave, you know, dog run to be, you know, put in place. So hopefully that'll help out, but it is a problem and we are aware of it.
Thank you. And I'm not advocating for more or bigger signs, but is there any data that shows that signs, that no matter how big it is, do people just ignore it regardless? Or is that a potential possible solution, partial solution, to put up more signage of no pets?
No, the signs are there. You know, people just, you know, they're very argumentative when you ask them to leave, especially at St. Barton's. We've come into a lot of, you know, stressful situations where people do not want to leave, and they don't care. They curse and they're using all sorts of profanity, just to ask them to leave the field because, you know, this is the active field and it's for their dog. It's my dog, and you can't tell me I can't be here, even though the sign is out there. It's not. So having the signs is just, you know, they're there. There's signs all around the park. It's just that they're ignoring them because they feel they have a right. So that's the sad thing about it, is that they're not understanding that there are dog runs that are close, but they don't want, because they live across the street or somewhere closer, where they don't want to take their dogs a walk.
Well, Robert Moses, they just have to walk, you know, about 10 feet sometimes. But yeah, I get you. Thank you. Anton, you have the hand raised for a while. I'm sorry, you have the floor. Cannot hear you, Anton. Anton, I don't see you on the screen. Okay, I think, Anton, we'll see if you're going to pop back up. If not, Steve, thank you very much. I will point out that tonight we are going to be starting, I know you're not going to be here, but it'd be nice to have you in the future. We're going to start discussing the committee's proposed fiscal year 2024 budget requests. And I know you've always been helpful to us in the process, and we look to the opportunity to have to be able to see what you believe should be funded, and also things that are on our list and maybe been there for 2 or 3 years, and maybe we just don't prioritize them anymore. We're basically going to introduce this tonight. These requests don't have to be in into the fall, but we appeal to you. It'd be nice for you to join us in some of those future discussions.
I certainly would like to be able to talk to you once we know what's in the FY23 budget. Because I don't want to start talking about stuff in 24 because I want to see it funded in 23. You know.
True. And then, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Once we get those, I'm talking about closer, maybe late spring. We'd love to bring you in and be part of those discussions.
Yeah, well, I certainly would want to be part of those discussions.
Um,
And especially after the budget is adopted in June, maybe we could talk again over the summer or whatever. But
Yeah, absolutely.
before I start talking about what should be funded in FY24, right now I'm putting all my eggs in the FY23 basket. So I don't want to push anything off at this point.
Well, thank you, Anton. I think you have the floor. I think the last question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, about to say the same thing is happening at Sutton Place Park, that the grassed area, which is actually closed so that it can be regreened, is being used as a dog run. And despite the fact that there are signs there that say no dogs unleashed, they're running wild in the park. This happens most mornings very early when dog owners take them out for the dogs to do their business.
Are you talking about the new area that we built behind One Sutton Place South?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. So, what is that, between 56th and 57th?
Yes. In fact, there have been postings on various local websites, like I forgot the names, but anyway, that show pictures of these people gathered there with their dogs running in that grassy area.
Well, obviously, that's not what the purpose of it. That's not the purpose of it. All right, so Sheeta and I will be in touch with the PEP unit as well to alert them to that problem.
Great. If I could,
Also,
one more. If you have to run, Steve, I understand. We do have another question from the public. Mina asked, could you allow citizens to do a citizen's arrest for unpicked dog poop?
Well, I wish I had that power. I wish I had that power. But I mean, maybe that's something you could discuss with your council members.
Mm-hmm. And then we have somebody, actually, Ann is saying that the same thing happens on the sidewalk with incidents about the dogs. And she asked, can they be fined?
Yeah, you got to catch them. You got to catch them in the act. You got to catch them walking away and not picking up after their dogs. You know, we have the Poopa Scooper law. They're supposed to be picking up after their dogs.
Right. Ann Salvyman asked, Sheena, do you give them tickets or just try and educate and enforce?
They tickets are issued. Our PEP unit do issue tickets for dogs off leash, dogs that are not in dog runs where they should be. They do, and they also do talk. They don't want to come across as not being understanding to the dog owners. But if they find that this is a repetitive thing and they're seeing the same people over and over, they do issue tickets. But
they usually give people a chance to
right.
To put the leash on the dog and they're not
Exit the area.
They're not quick on the draw to write tickets all the time. But if somebody refuses and that does happen, then they'll write a ticket.
Yeah, but they try to be give them a courtesy of putting the dogs on a leash and leaving the field, and
Right.
that's happening that happens at St. Barton's a lot when they do get there. They see the PEP officer come in uniform and then they grab the dog and they put them on a leash and then they start leaving. So it's kind of hard to give them a ticket once they're exiting, but the PEP officer can't stay there all day to monitor that situation because we just don't have the funding to fund it like that.
Thank you. I do not see any more Q&A from community members. I do not see any more hands raised. So Steve, thank you.
Okay, I just want to send a message back to Phyllis Mangles. I want her to know that I'm going to be in touch with her after I have the estimates for those park houses at Stuyvesant Square, because I'm going to need her help to lobby for that funding.
Okay, and I know Phyllis, I don't see it in the Q&A, and maybe we're going to address. I want to address it later. In the last meeting, we had a couple of people, myself and Jeannie, I know, said, and Matt, There are solar lights that you can put on the park house. I think they're pretty cheap. You just stick them onto the park house, if those are allowed. Is that allowable? Can we go ahead and privately fund those if
Well,
we
I
can?
don't, the kinds of things.
I'm working on something. I have a meeting tomorrow. We're going to see what we're going to do. I send a request to DOT to ask them to replace the current lights that are there and add additional spotlights on the existing poles. So I'm waiting for a response from them.
Because I know Phyllis in the neighborhood association there is concerned about safety with lack of lighting.
Yeah, well, we put the request in with DOT, so we want to see if, if they're able to do that, so the request went in today. I did it today.
I said, whatever we install has to comply with city standards. So you can't just go out and buy something. We're going to have to check on what kind of solar lighting might be approved by the city.
Understood.
So we'll look into that further.
Thank you, Steve.
But let me just suggest one thing here. If you look in terms of a possible FY24 project, chances are we're not going to get sufficient funding in FY23 to renovate both of the park houses at Stuyvesant Square. So I think that it's probably a good bet to suggest that that one of those park houses should be on your FY24 list. Probably the one on the east side, because the one on the west side is maybe a priority because we need it for our staff.
Hey, I don't want to hold you to it, but is there any way you can ballpark a figure on what that would cost?
Not tonight.
Okay. I'll give you a pretty big swath of a ballpark figure, no?
But we're working on it. We're working on something.
All right, fair enough.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Greatly appreciated.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, Steve.
All right. Take care.
And I believe Sheena's going to stay with us for a parks report. Thank you.
You can borrow Sheena for a little while longer.
Okay, good. Thank you. Agenda item number 2 is presentation by NYC Clean Volunteers. For those keeping score, this is the 4th community group in front of this committee since the start of this committee's initiative to learn what is on the collective mind of our community groups and ambassadors, and to see if we can help guide them to even more improvement of environment, parks, cultural fairs, and/or landmarks in the district. Soki Lee and Ken Gray have taken a community issue, that is the need for cleanup of public parks, streets, sidewalks, and entryway litter, and they have successfully run with it by organizing NYC Clean Volunteers. Personally, I absolutely love their work and passion. They will be granted the floor now for 4 minutes to present. After that, we will open the discussion with any questions. Now batting cleanup, pun intended, Soki and Ken, do you have the floor?
Hi, everybody. I'm Saki, and this is Ken. Okay, let's go right to it because you're putting a timer on. I'd like to just start off with an excerpt from, let me get my computer, I queued it up. Okay. Let's just start with the video, and then let's go for it. Here we go.
A group of New Yorkers is tackling trash in their local parks and on their neighborhood streets, hoping it's a volunteer movement that spreads across the 5 boroughs. Joining us from Madison Square Park, Roger Clark with more on the NYC Clean Volunteers. Hey, Roger.
Hey, Pat, good morning. Yeah, here at Madison Square Park, one of the parks where this group of folks cleans. I mean, they're just absolutely relentless no matter where they go. They're bending over, they're picking up trash or getting into trash cans. It's the NYC Clean Volunteers. Gray is a co-founder of NYC Clean Volunteers, along with Saki Lee. They officially formed the organization in September, inspired by the work of a woman they saw cleaning Madison Square Park during their morning Tai Chi exercises.
I said, let's do it together. So that's how we kind of decided to start as a team, cleaning as a team.
And they're doing just that in a half dozen Manhattan neighborhoods, armed with tongs, garbage grabbers, and bags. The goal is to get litter off of streets and out of parks and encourage other New Yorkers to do the same.
If everyone in their neighborhood just watched out and picked up a few pieces of garbage every single day, my goodness, what a clean city we would have.
I don't usually pick up dog doo, but today I found myself that I did pick up the dog doo because they're frozen.
Yes, cleaning up the streets of New York could be an adventure. The volunteers also say it's a way to get outdoors and for Gray and Lee, use some of that Tai Chi technique.
I try to make it, rather than doing that, I try to do that. So that gives me my nice stretch.
And it's not a stretch to say that these volunteers are helping to transform their neighborhoods every time they hit. So we mentioned Saki and Ken do Tai Chi. So they're going to demonstrate one of their moves here. This is great. All right, guys, take it away because I can't top this. And Saki007 at gmail.com if you're interested in signing up. Here we go, guys.
Ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
You got it.
Come back.
Very nice. And Pat, so this is good. So, and of course, remember when, you got to bend down. When you bend down, you got to, I feel like I'm going to wind up at the chiropractor if I did that, but they're going to teach me. They're going to teach me. We got time.
No, you can definitely see a bit of an exercise component to it and good to get out there in the morning. Roger, thank you.
Okay, that's that. And let me just share one more thing. Thank you for being patient, and here I go. Okay. Oh, let me screw it up to. Oh, I didn't cue it up.
He won't hold you to the 4 tight minutes, Soki. You're going to have a little time to.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me stop sharing screen for 1 second. I did not have it queued up to the first page. Okay. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Bellevue South Park. A big shout out. That was Bellevue South Park. You were doing that for New York One, not just Madison Square Park.
That's right. We do all the parks, but we are doing it. We're going to do the whole city eventually, but not with everybody's help. Okay, here I go again. Portion of the screen, share. Okay, here we go. We are NYC Clean Volunteers, and I have Lady Liberty with her grabber and a broom ready to clean up New York. So here we go. And how do I go to church too? I'm not accessing this. Oh, all right. Oh, you know what? Oh, okay. All right. I got something blocking me. Okay.
Well, Soki's doing that. I think you and Ken are both from live in Rose Hill.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. I can see the screen now. Okay. So we clean in teams. I'm gonna go right through this. You can read that later. And then we have captains for the 5 neighborhoods that we cover. So here we are in Folklore. And as I mentioned earlier, we have Gus. He's our mascot. He's our litter expert. So we have covered like 5 neighborhoods in our cleanup. And next we have the Hall of Shame, I like to call this. And particularly one day I was really appalled. We went to Madison Square Park and we saw a squirrel and birds, having like a full-fledged meal, eating French fries at Shake Shack, 8 a.m. in the morning. I mean, where is the ketchup? Next, we had the mess continues. You know what? You've seen this too, right? And worse, probably. Moving along. Ken, I just have to say, he, before and after, I hope you can see the difference. He goes to Bellevue Park every morning by himself, 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. to clean up Bellevue Park as an appreciation for the essential workers who go through this area. A good shout out to my partner, Ken. Here we are, teams in the field, showing we're at Flatiron Plaza, Asher Levy, and the abandoned Gramercy Park Hotel. Next. Yes, since New York One, the Department of Sanitation was so wowed by us that Steve reached out to us to partner with us. And this past Saturday, we had a cleanup, very successful. We got bright vests for safety and visibility, and everything we needed for a successful cleanup. So we're very pleased. But you know what? It doesn't end there. Coming this Sunday, we're going west to Hell's Kitchen. And we're expecting Mark Levine, you probably heard of him, Eric Botcher, and Gail Brewer, and possibly other people that can help with this process. So I just want to say, next time, maybe Chinatown and Uptown Harlem. We're on our way to clean up New York City, one neighborhood at a time. And I need to grab a drink of water, so can you finish up this for me?
Hi there. So what do we need? Well, we need to recruit more volunteers, create a greater awareness, and also an outreach to every community. We work full-time, both Saki and I, so we need your help. And we need sleep.
Slow down.
So we need sponsored cleanups. We have been self-funding, paying everything ourselves out of pocket. We need equipment, supplies, a divided cart for recycling, and storage. CB6 and District 2 should be the shining model community for the rest of NYC. We need help with a large database of email blasts and media also. We have lots more ideas, so talk to us.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to leave this panel on. We really need a lot of help. The two of us and the few of us are a really great team of volunteers. We cannot do this alone. We need everybody to pitch in, and that's why we're here. I'm a small person with a big dream. I want to clean up New York City, one neighborhood at a time. So I can say a lot more, but I'd like to just stop right now and listen to what people have to say and questions that we would like to give answers to. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you. And I must add, I joined the Bellevue South for the cleanup last weekend, and then the week before at Gramercy Park, we got report from the Gramercy Park Block Association. There was some trash in front of the now not used Gramercy Park Hotel, so we dove in there. And I must say, they're a lot of fun. You never thought it'd be so much fun to pick up trash, but it's wonderful experience. I urge anybody to just go out there, even if you just want to laugh for a couple hours. If there are any questions from the committee, please, this would be a time where if anybody has any questions or comments from the general public. Jeannie D'Onofrio, you have the floor.
Hi, okay, thank you. Wonderful work. Thank you for that. Probably hope to volunteer one of these days.
I got your name.
Okay, thank you. Just a question, do the business improvement districts or the bids help out at all as far as providing support? Have you ever reached out to them, neighborhood by neighborhood?
I wish they would. That's why we're here. I wish they would. We actually tried, and that's why we had tried to talk to Madison Square Park. We had tried to talk to Flatiron Bid. Anyway, I just want to say we started to formally form this group in September of 2021. We have been picking up way before that. Mina, our associate, also with her 2 dogs. So I decided to take matters in my own hand. I have a full-time job and I teach, and I just spent day and night putting this whole thing together. Mom and pop shop. And we went really far. I have to give myself a pat on the back. We got the attention of Sanitation Department, Carlina Rivera, Kevin from CB6, and actually, I'm happy to report, I actually got somebody from Madison Shake Shack this morning, but I'll talk about that a little bit more. I mean, things have been just rolling downhill, but it's just the 2 of us and a handful of volunteers. We are asking for help. I need to sleep. I need to really, I've been working endlessly on this. No, so far nobody. So we're looking for businesses, bid, people. We need help. We need for you to fund us. We need for you to advertise for us. We need for you to get, you know what? We're not really looking for money. We're looking for a clean city. We need volunteers. We like to have vests that we can see. Because when we wear our nice jackets outside, we notice that for safety and visibility. People ask us all the time, how can we join? We're doing a great job. No, we don't want just accolades. We want a clean city. I hope I didn't say too much.
No, and I'm going to give Letty the floor in a second, but it does make a noticeable improvement. I mean, Bellevue South has never been so clean. I know a lot of it's because Ken's there every morning, and Soki, I know you're there in other places. So it's making a difference. That's important to point out. Letty, you have this floor.
Just a brief question. Are you a 501c3 organization at this point?
No, I'm not, because I'm really bad with paperwork, but we'd be happy to get, if somebody wants to set us up, I just don't have time to do that. That's not what I do, but I am looking for help. If you want to donate in terms of equipment, I know we love to say, you see this button? You know what? Print more of these for me. NYC Clean Volunteers. This has all been self-funded. We're just asking for, we're willing to do this because I love New York City. Okay, I love New York City. But I love a new clean New York City. So give us some vests, give us some buttons, give us some grabbers. I like tongs.
Okay, thank you. Letty, your hand is still raised for another question, or? If not, we're going to go ahead. Somebody from the community would like the floor, and I would be happy to do that. She asked, Nina, can I ask a question? You certainly can. If we can make that happen expeditiously, you know the word.
Expeditiously.
Thank you. Soki keeps me honest.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Good. So I'm the woman who was walking the two dogs in Madison Square. I'm going to say we don't need funding at all. I will fund the whole thing. We need people. We need people to come out and say, you know what? I care about my block. That's all. This all started because I wanted my block to be clean when I was walking my dog. If we all just said, hey, we're all going to just clean our one block. That's all we need. We don't need much. We just need people to care. And then be able to say, hey, we are all going to just be responsible for our trash because we're all responsible citizens here. And I feel like the effort, if it starts with groups, then it goes to the individuals. People will start caring about their own trash because they see, hey, we don't want some elegant ladies in mink furs, in fact, picking up after you. There are trash cans on every single corner. Put your trash in the trash bin. That's, first of all we ask. Second of all, if you can't do that and you want us to do it, well, take care of your own street. That's all we ask. And if it becomes like a New York City, we're all going to participate in this because we want to live in a clean city and we don't want to raise taxes. We don't want money towards anybody else putting trash in the trash bins when we can do it on our own and for no money. So it's a two-prong awareness. Take care of your trash. Number two, take care of your block. And then number three, if you want to socialize and make it a community thing, let's do it weekly. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? Nobody's asking for any money here. Let's just do it because we care about our community.
Well said. And if you could leave, if you don't mind leaving your email address, maybe in the Q&A, we would love to get back in touch. Letty, to answer your question, I have been talking to Soki and to Ken about a 501c3. I think that is the way to go. I think there should be an umbrella organization, nonprofit. So Mina, if you want to be in part of that effort.
I can do it. I just don't know how to do it.
We're gonna.
I can do it. I just, that's not.
Letty's done it before. I've done it before.
If you've done it before, you can walk me through. Just send me the link on how to do it. That's fine. It's those things are not our obstacle. Our obstacle is we need people to get invested in their community. Be like, hey, we want to clean up our community, our block. Just clean your block.
And it's infectious. It's infectious.
It's infectious.
It's infectious in a positive way. I've seen it again the last couple of weekends in person. Thank you. I think there are some comments about the wonderful job that you're doing. Am I missing anything, Alex, before we move on to our next agenda item?
Yeah, there are some questions in the Q&A.
If you can pose them, please.
Yeah. Anne Seligman says, sorry to add to your work, but can I ask you to also keep an eye out for dead or injured birds? You can report them at dbird.org. If you want help transporting injured birds, both Wild Bird Fund and NYC Audubon have a group of folks that can transport injured birds. I know Bellevue South Park has been a hotspot.
Okay. Yeah, I can answer that one directly. Last month, I found a dead red-tailed hawk in Bellevue South Park, and I actually called up the bird site that Ann mentioned, and they said, throw it out. That was it. I asked, do you want to examine it or anything? But they said, no, just dispose of it.
Okay. I see a question here from Liz Vigil, one of our wonderful volunteers. Can the city initiate a citywide spring cleaning for the citizenry? Excuse me, I'm an immigrant. I have a problem talking sometimes. Of NYC, and for example, 2 weekends in the spring. Of course, love it. You know what? We take all suggestion. You know what? We would do it. We would come to your neighborhood if you come to your own cleanup. Yeah. Yeah. You know, that's what we do. You know, I would love to bring it all over the city, but you know what? If you're going to want us to clean your block, you show up. You show up in your neighborhood, we'll go there. Okay. Anybody else? I think that's it.
Is that it for comments? And we can,
I see Anne Seligman has her hand raised.
does she want to address the bird situation? Then she should have the floor quickly.
Thanks for that. And I'm happy to follow up with you guys about this offline. It's still really important. Red-tailed hawks, like my guess is that it ate a poisoned rat is my, like, that would be my guess in that situation. But a lot of the birds that are dead are because they're hitting windows. And in any case, it's very valuable. Like entering something in dBird takes like a minute, and it's really good for helping identify where the problem spots are. And like Javits Center used to be one of the worst places in the city, and they made some minor adjustments, and now it's one of the best places in the city. So it is the kind of thing that, and like I said, I'm happy to take this offline and you know, just help tell you a little bit more about it.
Thanks, Anne. And then I believe Susan Davis has a couple of comments. Alex, if you want to read those, it might actually be a question, and I believe that could be it.
Susan Davis asked who's responsible for trash pickup, each property owner, if it is abandoned / empty, and providing adequate bins. And then trash bins overflow and then it blows all over, and hungry people and recyclers sort through bins and it spills. So how can we remedy? Who is in charge?
Yes, Kenny will answer that.
Yeah, I can answer partially. Only because in Bellevue South Park, there was an area which I felt was sorely lacking in a trash bin. So I called up DSNY, and they gave me a provisional container, and they said, okay, if you take care of it, if you mind it, you know, we'll leave it there. We'll see how it goes. And I've been doing that. So this is the individual taking responsibility. That's what we all need to do. So it's not a big deal. I take a plastic bag liner, and if it's overfilling, I straighten it out, put that on the side of the basket, put a new one in. That's the end of it.
Yeah, I just want to say actually, yeah, Kenny, you were talking to the Stephen Caruso for that. But you know, Kenny does his turf, and they actually gave him a can, but he have to maintain it. So Department of Sanitation give you a supply bag. And you know what, if you want to do that, you have to be responsible. So Kenny does go out there and tie up the bags and all that. So it is possible to get your own garbage can, but you really have to maintain it, right?
Yeah, they've had Stephen Caruso, he's with public relations with Department of Sanitation. He's saying a lot of times they do that. Like that's one reason why they don't put trash cans in the middle of the block. There's a tendency to have them be a dumping ground. They overflow. Nobody's there to maintain it, and it's just a worse mess than they would have ordinarily. So it's individual responsibility.
Yeah, I just want to say that can is actually located in Carmel Place. Those who you know in Bellevue Park South, and you know what? There is a big difference. Even I noticed because I don't go to Bellevue Park.
Thank you, Alex. I think we've gone through all.
Yep.
Thank you again, Ken, Soki. I love you both. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll stay in touch. Agenda item number 3 is report from the NYC Department of Parks and Recreation. For this, we do have Sheena Kaufman, the district manager of New York City Parks and Recreation. Sheena, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Nice presentation for NYC Clean. To go back to that, you know, just more garbage pickup is probably needed throughout the city to actually, you know, alleviate some of the overflowing garbage around, you know, certain areas and certain neighborhoods. Increasing of, you know, garbage collection can help reduce a lot of the rodent activities as well as, you know, overflowing the cans. So that's one thing. I don't know if sanitation is able to do that, but at parks, we make a strong effort to making sure that we pick up all of the garbage on a daily basis. So if that's what some people are worried about, that can help as well. Anytime that you need some bags, and you can come by St. Barton's if you're in the District 6 area. You can come by St. Barton's. I have 6, 8, and 15. If you're in the Carl Schultz area, you can just, you can reach out to me, then I can, supply you with some bags, to help you out in those, 2 particular areas. But for the report, Steve basically gave you out most of the things that we were just going to discuss. What we did do this week was we removed the wisteria hanging over at Albano Playground over the handball wall. So our forestry unit came in and we removed, we cut back a lot of it. So hopefully we'll be good for a few more years before we have to do that again. And we just been doing daily collection, daily cleanup, and we're just if anyone has anything that they need addressed, you can just either email me or we can speak about it now. With the exception of Stuyvesant, because Steve already spoke about that with the electricity and the lights. I already gave the report. We're just waiting for DOT to respond.
Thank you very much. As some of you know, I've been for the last 3 months, every weekday morning cleaning up at St. Barton Park. I have passed the baton by actually passing it tomorrow to Kellyanne Allen, who lives in our district. She is a mom at PS 281. She knows a hell of a lot about gardening and horticulture and many other things that have to do with the garden. So I have been I'm bowing out of that, but you're in great hands, Sheena, with Kellyanne going forward on a daily basis.
That's great. That's great.
Any questions from the committee or from the public? I know we covered so much with Steve earlier. I think we're good. Is that right, Alex?
There are a few questions in the Q&A.
Okay, sorry about that. If you can go ahead
That's
with
okay.
those.
The first question is from Andrea Levitt, who asked, is it possible to get recycling bins in St. Barton and other local parks?
There's well, I guess once we start redoing over the St. Barton's, more than likely we're going to add recycling bins there. Usually when we reconstruct, we add the big bellies, and they with new construction, a lot of the new construction, we're adding 1 or 2 big bellies in their recycling bins. I don't know if we have an area where they do the compost, that sort of area. Maybe if we can, if someone has one, we can put one, in that area. So that would probably work. But we don't have recycling bins itself. We don't purchase those. We only get them usually when we do a park over. That's something that we'll see if the community would like to have. So we ask before we, even put in, see if it's worth it.
I know that Andrea is not the only one who's asked about that at St. Barton. So I think it's safe to say there is a bit of a movement to see if that can be done. Anything else, Alexandra?
Phyllis Mangles asked, did the Community Board Transportation Committee ever get in touch with DOT to find out about the changeover of the park's lamppost to LED lighting? We were trying to figure out where Stuyvesant is on the list.
The answer is yes. Have I heard a report back? I have not.
And the last question is from Mina, who asks, we just ask one date, one group cleanup date to get us started, March, April.
I love to answer this one.
Okay.
I would love to answer this one. I just look on the calendar. Earth Day is April 22nd. It happens to fall on a Friday. I may try to take a half day off, but I was just thinking we can talk about it more as a team because it's not a Saki Lee show. I think that we can do a Saturday cleanup. I can actually clear my calendar. Earth Day would be a really great time. Oh, Earth Day weekend. So this is I would love to have. I would invite everybody who want to join us, and I really do mean it. We really need the help. This is a community thing, so I'm just suggesting maybe Earth Day weekend would be a good day to do that.
Thank you, Soki. And I don't know if it's possible to give Andrea Levitt the floor because I know she's going to be modest about that, but she's very instrumental in they're doing a big cleanup event on Earth Day that's going to be at St. Martin. They did it last year. They had over 200 people because I think a power in numbers where maybe you can join forces on Earth Day with that. Andrea, I'm sorry putting you on the spot here, but if you don't mind, can you just give everyone an update on Earth Day plans for St. Martin?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this was actually David Saul's brainchild. He's another River School parent, the head of the River School Green Team, which is both parent and student. Has both parent and student members, or parent and student branches, and staff as well. So this was something that he conceived of last year, and I was, happy to be able to help out. And we kind of joined forces also with families from PS 116 and P94 and some other schools in the district, and put together, a cleanup event in St. Martin's, and then sort of sent people out throughout the neighborhood to different areas, provided everybody with grabbers, gloves, things like that. Really got the kids involved and families involved. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay the entire day last year, but I know it was a great success. And so we're hoping to replicate that and make it even bigger this year. So we're still in the planning stages of that, but would definitely love to join forces. Happy to talk more about that offline.
Thank you. And I believe if I can break some of the news, I think that there will be a free little library thanks to Sheena's leadership. There may be a free little library going up in St. Martin Park for the first time ever on Earth Day.
I don't think it's going to be up by Earth Day, but we are definitely planning on it. Yep. Okay,
that's the note I got. But anyway, thank you, Sheena, for having those discussions with.
We also, parks also we do, it's my park day. We do that twice a year. So that's, we do those things, not necessarily in people's neighborhoods, but we do, it's my park around the city, throughout the 5 boroughs, big, huge, twice a year. So we do have those. If you want to, join those are great. We always look for volunteers, definitely, for painting, cleaning, and planting. So we have that around the city. Soki, if you want to join that, that's a good way,
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. Not to get into it, but there's no issue with cost, right? Because again, I know people that would like to donate with a free little library, or is it just a matter of waiting for materials or approvals? And where does the free library stand?
It is mostly waiting on David's availability to install it.
Oh, he's going to do the
several
handyman
of
work?
us
Great.
who are, helping. It's actually, we raised money for it last fall.
With a bake sale?
With a bake sale and, a few other things. Actually, we started fundraising for it at last year's Earth Day event. And so we got some things there, and then we did a follow-up bake sale in the fall, and actually most of the materials have been purchased. We're sort of waiting until it gets a little bit warmer, and the ground is, we are able to, install it. But it's just a matter of timing, I think.
Thank you. I'm here. Just multitasking. I'll be right there. Hello again. Thank you. I think we can move on to the next agenda. I'm sorry, Soki, if you have a quick question, that's
Yeah, just
great.
no comment, just a real quick comment. Yeah, I'd like to talk more further about the Earth Day weekend type of event, you know, whoever we can reconnect again offline. But I just do want to mention my reason for coming to have my own particular agenda about cleaning up and the parks and department and beautification, all that of course is important. But I do want to mention one other thing in relationship to the question that Mina asked. You know, it's an ongoing thing. We're doing this maybe Earth Day weekend, but there's an organization out there. I need to look further. It's a National Cleanup Day. I believe that's what it's called. And I believe it is on September 17. So anyway, I'm going to be looking into more of that kind of a thing. I think we need to do, you know, occasional big events, big visibility. But then we also do, you know, weekly cleanups or whatever in each community. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Always helpful. Thank you. Okay, I think we can move on to agenda item number 4. I promise we'll get everyone out of here in time for those that want to see the State of the Union address tonight at 9. Agenda item number 4, continued discussion of the Gramercy Park deed and tax assessment. I'll make this brief. We continue to have helpful information flow to us from knowledgeable community members and officials. Over the past week alone, the third parties that have joined us in this important examination include the City of New York, in the form of one of its agencies. The examination remains fluid and focused. Just want to do a quick share of thanks to all in the community who have shared their appreciation for this ongoing work. Stay tuned. Agenda item number 5, discussion of proposed fiscal year 2024 budget requests. I teed this up earlier with Steve Simon. This committee has a strong role in the process that determines what projects city and state elected officials and other decision makers should fund. Alex or Jesus will be showing, I believe, the air table with the budget requests that remain from last year. You know, Steve had done something interesting with, you know, still seeing what we can use in this year's fiscal year budget. So I think what I'd like to do tonight is just to tee up that air table and let you all know that you can access it. So at the next monthly meeting, we can start drilling down and seeing if any of these items should be removed, see if you have any ideas on what needs to be added for budget requests. Keep in mind that this committee has the most budget requests of all the committees on CB6. Having fewer items on the request list certainly may give us more strength to the requests as a whole. I also want to think over the next few months about how we prioritize our final budget requests to give them maximum traction for funding. So Jesus or Alexandra, maybe I could put you on the spot, although you certainly have trained me. What's the easy explanation for committee members to go and find this air table?
Sure, I can show you right now, actually.
Wonderful.
So everyone, every member should be familiar with the CB6 website. If you are not, shame, but I'm sure everyone is. You go to cbsix.org. And you find our beautiful skyline right there on the front page, and you click on committees. The link to the budget requests is going to be found on the budget committees page. Every committee has a page. You click there. Fun fact, this is actually a picture of Rick's building. You can see his apartment in this one. So he always found that he was always tickled by the fact that the budget there. It was a complete coincidence that he's like, did you use that on purpose? It's like, no, a photographer took that. We didn't do it. So it was meant to be. So you go to the budget committee page, you scroll down, and right there you'll see view budget requests, a big button in orange. You click that. I emailed them to everybody, but in case people lose their emails, you know where to go. You go to the CB6 website, you go to the budget committee page, and you scroll down, and then it's right there. And then now, this will show you all 51 of them. I agree with Kevin, less is more. Keep that in mind as you review these. But what you do is you click on filter, you add a condition where the committee has any of or is exactly whatever operator you want to use, parks, and boom, in an instant, it filters out all the non-parks committee budget requests. So it just leaves you with the 13 that this committee has jurisdiction over. So it's super easy. And if you ever want to call the office and have Brendan or Alex walk you through any of that, we certainly can, or we can jump on a Zoom and do it, but it's super easy. And yeah, unless you guys have any questions about how this budget Airtable works, I will relinquish the floor.
Great, or questions about anything to do with this agenda item. I know Marty Barrett was instrumental last year in teaching me that we need to get a good running start time-wise on these budget requests. It may seem like new members of this committee, or should I say to the community board, that we have plenty of time since these requests don't have to be prioritized until the fall, but time will go fast. Any questions?
It sounds like from Steve that the Astor Levy is being funded.
But there's a hell of a lot more in there, as I mentioned to Steve.
Yeah, but you did ask if the windows were going to be waterproof. They would have to be replacing the windows in order to do that. And if that's in there, then that item can go on to continued support rather than staying as part of our capital.
With the permission of the rest of the committee, or maybe majority, I would love to change that classification, even if they aren't all dressed. That really helps us narrow down the list. So
it's been on there for
too long,
10, 15 years.
Yeah, it's thank you. So why don't we do this? If there's anybody who is opposed to keeping that, or taking that, or reclassifying that, raise your hand now or forever hold your peace. And I think that would be a great start for this first meeting, and then we could possibly move on. I do not see any hands. This is wonderful news. Jesus, can you reclassify that item?
Okay, so that has to be done after it's all voted at the end of the process. But what we can do is we can once you guys are done with your discussions, we can let the budget committee know all of your decisions regarding what to keep, what to remove, what to reclassify. But first on the list will be, if I'm understanding correctly, is that the committee has voted unanimously that the Astor Levy HVAC budget request will be reclassified as continued support. Am I understanding that correctly?
You have crystallized my mind perfectly. Thank you.
Also, the office will be keeping a detailed list and notes on these discussions as well.
Yes, because the budget, yes, exactly, because the budget committee will want as detailed a note as we can give them from all the committees. Very few committees actually supply that kind of information, but we're hoping, and it looks like Parks will be one of them this fiscal year.
Wonderful. And yes, I'm now self-reminded that we are fortunate to have representation on this committee that is on that other committee. So thank you. Okay. If there are no other hands raised, sorry.
A few months ago, somebody brought up something that I made the comment, oh, that should be on our capital. I don't remember what it was though.
When was that exactly? Do you know? Pinpoint it?
Probably 3 months ago, 4 months, somewhere in that time frame. Maybe we should, before the next meeting, the minutes can be reviewed for a few meetings to see what that was. But it sounded like a good item to be on the Capitol. Unfortunately, my memory isn't what it was.
It was so brilliant, we can't remember it. I'm kidding. Yes, Claire Brennan, you have the floor.
Hi. So this was just like an introduction to the budget request. We're not like writing any in right now, right? Because it's
Correct. I wanted to introduce it a lot earlier than we did last year. I had become chair in the fall and I just didn't get around to it until I think the spring or early summer. So yes, this is just a primer, and also to start thinking about ideas of things that aren't on this list that you think should be. And because obviously climate change and environment has become a bigger part of this committee, then we could please think about some things possibly that we can do in that area. So yes, we're going to move on and just touch on, we're just using this as an overview at this point. Reshma, you have the floor. You are muted if you're trying to.
One of the things that we had talked about was when the New Wave Pier opened up, that they didn't put any umbrellas on the tables for people in the shade. And we had talked about putting that in our budget request. I don't know if that's what you guys were thinking of, but I just wanted to
Thank you. I do remember that. It might have been, so that's good. Thank you. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And that's why I asked that question earlier about how New Wave Pier was different than the East River Esplanade work that Steve Salmon was talking about.
And you may remember, I think it was, I can't remember, Mark Folk or somebody from the Parks Department had told us that they used every last dollar that they could for that project. Yes. And so, right. So wonderful. Let's go ahead and try to tee that up.
That would be expense, because this probably wouldn't be
20.
over the $50,000 or to last more than 5 years.
Yeah, I think it was estimated under 20,000. So you're right. It would be an expense, not a capital budget. Unless they're really fancy umbrellas.
But you could add it to the expense.
Yeah.
We got plenty of room there.
Okay, good. Well, Claire is taking the minutes. I would suggest, even though the minutes have become a lot more truncated, that maybe we put that in there, if nothing more than to remember that we want to circle back on that.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? No. Okay. Agenda item number 6 is discussion of the closure of the Grand Central Library branch. This is the library branch at 135 East 46th Street. It's one of the 3 NYPL branches in our district. The other is Epiphany on 23rd Street. And there's also Kips Bay. They're both more than 14 blocks away. Because we heard that the library may be slated for permanent closure after the current lease expires this year, I followed up today with the New York Public Library Associate Director of Government Affairs. He wrote back soon after with this news. I might as well just read it. This is him writing. The Grand Central Library was always intended to be a temporary location with limited services to supplement the 53rd Street Library during construction. It remained a temporary location even after 53rd Street was completed in order to support mid-Manhattan patrons. Now the Stavros Diachos Foundation Library. Now that both 53rd Street and SNFL have opened, the library is evaluating the lease at Grand Central. A determination has not been made yet as to whether or not to renew this lease. Once a final decision is made, we will conduct outreach with the board and local elected officials. That's his email. Now, Jeannie and I have discussed this, including before this meeting, and we've decided to do further analysis. But because this committee scope covers cultural affairs, we want to hear any reaction from committee members on this recent development, including Jeannie, if you have any further comments. Yes, Jeannie, you have the floor.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so we just had a brief conversation before this meeting, and so this is new news to me, but it's definitely something we need to look in. I don't know how long that library branch has been open temporarily. It'd be interesting to see the traffic coming through. the Nyc Library, that's just a reopening, a renovation and reopening across from the main branch. It's a beautiful building now, but I don't know. I guess we have to look at the numbers, how many patrons are actually using that branch? I mean, it is further east than the Fifth Avenue branch. And so I would really want to look at that. There's also the library on Lexington and 51st Street at the subway station. The Cardinal Cook, I think it was called. I think that branch had closed as well. So we might see issues there, but definitely I will start looking into this.
Thank you. Yes, Jeannie will be our point person going forward, including with the government relations folks at the library system. Ann Seligman, you have the floor.
Thank you very much about that, Jeannie. I actually do, if I can share my screen, I actually have some usage numbers, or I can just sort of summarize by saying that of the 3 branches in our neighborhood, and the Cardinal Cook one, I think, is really the smallest of all of them. But Grand Central in 2019, which is, they're using pre-pandemic numbers, which I think is appropriate. Grand Central had 220,000 visits. Epiphany had 198,000, and Kips Bay had 136,000. So, Grand Central led in the number of visits. In terms of program attendance, it was second, about 1,000. It was 16,000 at Epiphany, 15,000 at Grand Central, and 10,500 at Kips Bay. So it seems like it's actually a pretty popular branch. My concern is I have been hearing about this and trying to get information about this since like last fall. And the library is just being super coy about actually answering the questions. And one of the things, I think there are other metrics that I'd be interested in hearing about, such as, they have these, like, I love my library things they do. It's like, how does Grand Central do on that? Like, what's the loyalty? My biggest concern, like I said, is that they're just going to install us, and then it's going to be a fait accompli. So I'd like to know from them, when are they going to decide? And when they do make the decision, what metrics will be used, and will there be transparency on those? So I'm very concerned about that. The other thing is that they just spent millions of dollars in upgrading the HVAC, which is why that branch opened later than most of the other branches. And so it seems, I know some costs and all that, it shouldn't matter, but it does kind of seem like a shame, so whatever. So those are my thoughts. I'm happy. Kevin, thanks very much for forwarding that email to me. And Jeannie, as you can tell, I'm sort of passionate and concerned about this, and I'm happy to talk to you offline. I mean, it is a block from my house, but I also, every time you go in there, it's busy. And so I just feel like there's something else going on. And the reason, just for those who weren't around then, yes, it was originally supposed to close, like, I think it was 7 years ago. And Dan Garodnick, who was then the council member for the district, he's the one who got the funding for, the latest lease. But unless we start working on it now, it's not going to happen again. And even now, it may be too late.
Okay, for those who are thinking maybe, hey, let's consider a resolution, not one that I as chair can present, that action, certainly somebody else can. What are the downsides about waiting until next week? Because I know one of the things that Jeannie and I had discussed is doing more research and analysis to really, and thank you, Ann, for those numbers. And I did receive those. It's very helpful. I wish we had, the pandemic's going to skew everything, unfortunately, about attendance numbers. But, any data that we have, of course, would make the case stronger of why it should remain open. Or do we run into the risk of waiting too long before making a public statement of any kind, resolution? Our next meeting is obviously in a month. This could be readdressed at that time. What are your thoughts, Jeannie? What are your thoughts, or anybody else?
I actually would rather wait. I just don't have enough information to draft a resolution, and I don't want to put something on forward that is it not enough information or just not accurate enough. So unless, Anne, you have other thoughts on that, I'm just not quite sure if we're ready to draft a resolution.
Anne, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, Jeannie. I feel like I'd rather have a stronger resolution a month from now than, a sort of weaker one. Again, I can send an email. I might have sent it to you, Kevin, saying like, these are the additional information we're trying to get about this. And, the other thing I think we can do is that if they are not responsive in the next month and we write a resolution, we can highlight that fact. Say, we have been asking for several months for additional information on this, and they have not been forthcoming. But I think it's fair to kind of, we're finding new people. I also had found a contact for somebody who is, that I think I forwarded it to you, Kevin, the person who's head of like the East Side branches. And I'm happy either to forward that to you, Jeannie, or to reach out to her myself.
Great. Thank you. And Anne, thank you for your time on this. We're going to call on you, if you can, to devote more time into helping us with that analysis. Jeannie, you have the floor.
Okay, thanks. And yeah, if you and I could just maybe chat offline, just to connect and see how I can be helpful. I'd be happy to call this East Side representative. I can actually call the folks at the main branch of the New York Public Library. Maybe I can make some calls that way as well. But I just need more information. I need information gathering right now.
Okay, so we're going to make sure that this agenda item is definitely going to be on next month's meeting. This will be an item that we'll definitely spend time on next time. Thank you all. That moves us on to, well, agenda item 7 is chair's report, because I already mentioned the development of the dog run slated for between the FDR Drive and New Way Pier. I will waive this report. And that moves us to the agenda on item 8, old and new business. If any member of this committee has any old and new business, please virtually raise your hand. I think I did see a hand raised. Oh, it is from an attendee. Lou Spersky would like the floor. Lou, if you don't have the floor, if we can give Lou a promotion.
Yeah, if it's permissible, Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead, Lou.
Thank you. 2 things. One is that the 6 benches in Ralph Bunche Park were reinstalled a week or so ago after having been mentioned to the Parks Department at the committee meeting. And the second is the bluestone paving in Ralph Bunche Park has been a subject of repeated efforts by the board. I think it's rated number 11 on the request list. That material is permanent and very expensive and is very dangerous to passersby at the moment. And I think we ought to put something of a priority on getting that bluestone repaired.
Thank you. And we invite you to be back and be part of that dialogue as we go forward with the budget requests. Sheena, is there anything that you know that you can add to it? I know we've discussed this before in committee. On Ralph Bunche?
Well, the benches were reinstalled. I thought I sent you an update on the benches.
Right, the benches we're aware of, and that's great development. Right. That I know right. About. But about the
bluestone is very expensive. It will have to be a capital project because we don't have the means of replacing any of the bluestone. It's very, very expensive.
Lou, go ahead. Sorry.
Is it possible to get an estimate on the cost of the bluestone? Because it's not only an element of the park. Passers-by walk on there, and somebody's going to trip and break their neck because that material has deteriorated. We started on this project 4 or 5 years ago when Mark Thompson was chair of the board, and I submitted some pictures at his request. And the park the paving has continued to deteriorate, and we're just inviting a serious accident by not getting it replaced and repaired.
I can see if we can get someone from Capital to see, to come out there and check to see what the costs will be for Ralph Bunch.
That'd be nice.
Thank the chair for his consideration and giving me the floor.
Of course, Lou, and thank you, Sheena, for following up on that, and thank you for the benches. Okay, we've heard from committee. Is there any member of the public that needs to vent about anything? Well, not anything. But would like to have the floor on a question. We are, if not, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. I see one from Mark and Marty. Who gets the second? We don't need a second. So
second.
Just want to make sure there's no hand raised. Thank you all. I promise we'd be out by the State of the Union, and we are. I appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Good
Yeah,
night.
but I just want to
Bye-bye.
say thank you, and I appreciate how well you run a meeting. It's a pleasure.
Oh, well, it's people like Jeannie, our vice chair, and others that make it easy, and Sheena that gets stuff done, as our mayor says, makes it easy on me. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.